Good morning and welcome to our second tutorial. I think from the first tutorial we talked about chords, we talked about triads, we talked about progressions, we talked about finding the key. I hope most of you are now able to find the key, which is a very important part, especially if you play in one key. For example, we use F sharp. So if someone transposes and goes to another key, to B or C or D, then you need to be able to transpose your F sharp on top of whatever key that they're playing. Whatever key it is, you need to transpose into that key. So it's very important since we are only playing in F sharp at the moment. So without wasting too much time, we want to thank God for the opportunity of having another tutorial. Initially, we talked about moving into the more common progressions, maybe going gradually from 6-4-1-5, 1-5-6-4, and so on and so forth. But this tutorial will focus mostly on what we call voicings. So voicings are basically different ways of playing certain notes. So you find that the one that we've been learning, which includes all those triads, can actually be played in a couple of different ways. Same with your 4, same with your 5, and with your 6. There are different ways you can play a 6 on your left hand whilst playing a 4 on your right hand, or the opposite is also possible. So this tutorial might be a bit challenging initially the first time you listen to it or you try to apply the concepts, but as you continue to try and apply the concepts, it will become easier and easier to apply. So a lot of focus is needed, but I'll just try to give you one or two different ways to improve your playing. So you find in this tutorial, yes, we've tried to improve on the quality, but the things that I'll be playing may sometimes lag behind, but I think the lag will be better than it was in the first tutorial, and we hope to continue to improve. So 6-4-1-5 is basically on your left hand. It's your 6 if you're using this inversion, then your 4, then your 1, then your 5. 6, your 4, your 1, then your 5. So that's basically your 6, 4 and 5 progression on your right hand. So what we also want to learn, and I really need you to practice this, is especially for those of you who are beginning to play, you need to master the triads on your left hand. So for whatever triad you have on your right hand with all those inversions, there is what I like to call a triad that goes with it on your left hand. So instead of just playing it with one key, because this is your 6, so you can go 4, then 1, then 5, right? But to make it sound better, you have to do this with they call it an arpeggio, or yes, an arpeggio, right, where you play one key after another. It sounds like a chord, but you're not pressing all the keys at once. So for example, this would be the triad on the left hand for the 6, right? Because this is your 6th note, then that's your 6th note, and then you also use your 3 in the middle. So this pattern basically it transitions over the keyboard with the same shape. So if you maintain this shape, right, and you want to know the triad for your 5, so you've got your, for the 6, it's the 6, the 3, and the 6 again. That's the triad on the left. Then if you want for the 5, it becomes the 5, the 2, and the 5 again. So this very shape just transcends. If you're looking for the 4, you just move the very same shape. You have your 4, your 1, and your 4. And it keeps on going. You move again. For the 3, it's your 3. Then you've got here, you've got your 7 and your 3 again. Your 2, you've got your 2, your 6, your 2 again. And then for your 1, it's your 1, your 5, and your 1. So those become sort of the triads on your left hand, to improve your playing. So for example, I'll play it with just one key on the left hand, so you hear how it sounds, and then I'll play it with the 3 keys the triads on the left hand and both also on the right hand. So with one key on the left hand, it sounds like this. Now do the triads and you use that movement which I said is one key after another, right? Right, you hear that? Yeah, so that's how it works. Sometimes the keys will stick because I'm using a sustain pedal. So when I use the sustain pedal, the keyboard on the bottom will also indicate that I'm still stepping on the sustain pedal. But basically it's an arpeggio. You're going your 6 3 6 and then 4 1 4, then 1 5 1, then 5 2 5. 6 3 6 4 1 4 1 5 1 5 2 5. So that's basically your 6 4 1 5 progression, right? With the triads on the left. So I was playing over here, right? But you can invert this 6. Remember the inversions? It's just a recap. You've got your 3, your 6 here, and your 1, right? That's a 6 chord. But you can also play the 6 chord here. Remember the inversion? You have your 6, your 1, and your 3. Then you invert this chord here, this 6 chord, and you bring it this side, and it's still a 6 again, right? So that's your 6. Right? So you also practice the inversions with this. So that's basically your 6 4 1 5. There will be no point in me just playing around with these numbers and saying now let's practice a 1 5 6 4 or a 2 4 1 5 progression, because it's basically the same way. You play it in the same way. For example, the 1 5 2 4, that's who is a loud voice, a mighty angel proclaim, who is worthy to open the scroll. So that's your 1 5 6 4 progression, right? And an example of the song is with a loud voice. For the 6 4 1 5, there's I surrender my life to you. You are the shepherd of my soul. So that's basically the 6 4 1 5 progression for those of you who are starting out. So basically how you do it can be in a sense up to you, but I think I've showed you how to do the arpeggio. So you practice that, right? You practice that. Focus especially on the bottom keyboard. It tells you exactly what I'm playing, even if it looks a bit fast on the top keyboard because you're looking at my hands. If you don't understand what I'm doing on the keyboard that's on the top, just focus on the one that's at the bottom, so you see exactly what I'm playing. So like I said, I want to focus mostly on what we call voicings in this tutorial. So I'll play, for example, the 4 1 5 6 progression, right? Remember that song? No, right? So what I normally like to do for that one, like I'm saying, voicings, you want these are now things to sort of spice up the way you play. It's not really traditional. I can't explain it to you using facts or using a book, a music book or anything. Some of it is from pretty much trial and error. You learn it as you play, but it sounds a bit different from the way you usually play. So one thing you could do is to play your 4 on the left hand, but whilst playing a 6 on your right hand. So you go Mabasa. So you maintain the 6. basically you can do that. So it's basically still your 4 on the left hand, but you've got your 6 on the right hand, right? It's a voicing. That's what they call voicings. So that's the first one. Another voicing you can use is these ones. You normally use them when the song is starting. So when you've used that voicing for the 4 chord, we now move on to the 1 chord. You might ask, what kind of voicings can you use? So there's this voicing that they call a 1, but it's got a 7th in it. So this is what it looks like. It looks like this. So you've got your 5, you've got your 7, and you've got your 3. So this is your normal 1. It's your 5, 1, and your 3. But in this case, you take your 1 and you put it as a 7, right? But you still play your 1 on the left hand. So it would sound, if you put those two together, Mabasa, that's exactly how it's going to sound, right? It's just a voicing. Like I said, these are voicings to sort of like advance your playing. It's a bit of a crash course here. We're doing a crash course. Some of these things, they are shortcuts. There are ways to learn them, perhaps to apply it. There might be some music theory to this. So when you read some of the books, they'll then explain how people actually come up with these things. But as for us, we are focusing on the practical side of things and how it's actually done. So that will be your 1. Another way to play your 1, it sounds fuller. So this is one inversion of your 1, right? Which we then just changed and put a 7th in the middle. But there's this inversion of the 1. So what I normally like to do with this 1, I hold it, but I add this 2 here. So it sounds like this. So it's a very full 1 chord, right? So you go Mabasa. See, so it's very different. There's a difference there. There's a difference. So all those are different voicings for the 1, right? And then we're moving on to the 5 chord. So the 5 chord, there isn't much that I normally like to do with the 5, but you can also do. This is your normal 5, isn't it? When you come to this point where you've got your 5, your 7, and your 2, you can actually, for those of you who've got long hands or larger hands, this is very, it sounds better. You can play this chord like this, the 5, the 7, the 2, but then you add this 5 as well. That's one voicing as well that you can use. Another way I like to voice this is actually take this 2 and make it a 1. It sounds very different. Right? So that's a way of voicing your 2. Again, if you've played this as your 1, right, this voicing where you've got your 2, 3, your 5, and your 1, and you are now going to your 5, you can actually just maintain this 2, 3, and 5, and then just add your 7. So this is your normal 5 in this inversion, but you can play it like this, right? So it's just a different voicing. There isn't much to add to it. So these are different voicings. So like I said, this tutorial, I'll try and put everything in there, but take your time, to take it in, to learn it little by little. I'm sure you get these voicings. You normally use them from the bridge, going onwards the bridge, going into the worship. For the praise, normally we don't use these. Before I forget, also for the 4 chord, this is the normal 4 chord. This inversion, you got your 4, your 6, and your 1. What I normally like to do with this one as well, and I use this a lot, I use it for the 4 chord and I use it also for the 2 chord. So you play it with the 4, then you put the 5 and the 6 and the 1, right? So instead of this, I do this. So many of you have seen me doing this. 5 chord, like I said, you can either put it 5, you can put 2, 3, 5, and 7, or you can put your 2, then your 5, your 6, and your 7, right? When I sing my say, so again, in the same vein, right? If you have now mastered this voicing of the 4, you can actually add these 3, right? It will sound very different, you say, Mabasa, you know, 4, 6, right? So you got your 4, your 5, your 6, and your 1, which is that chord which we just talked about, the voicing, and then you add your 3. So that's another voicing that you can also use for the 4. So I think I've thrown a lot of things at you all at once, because honestly, I sat down and I really couldn't figure out how I can um, give it to you in a structured way. The only way to actually get these voicings is to include them in your playing one by one, little by little. You learn one voicing, you use it for one song or for one service. Next time you include another one, and because that's how I learned them. You know, I included them in the way that I play one by one. And I didn't wake up and say I'm now using all these 20 voicings at the same time. They were weaved into my playing little by little, one after another. So I expect the same thing with you guys. You know, I expect to hear a certain voicing, you end up like, what's that? You know, and then over time, it actually becomes part of your playing. So the next time, I think the next tutorial, we also want to talk about passing chords. I was going to include it in this tutorial, but I think I've already preempted a lot of information and thrown it at you. So I'm not going to continue to speak about those passing chords in this specific tutorial. The passing chords, they are not many, but the few that I know, I want to preempt and give them to you now. I'm going to continue to learn more passing chords. In the time, I'll give you another tutorial on passing chords from what I will have learned and so on and so forth. But I think you should have an idea of what's ahead. You know, it will push you to learn more. So basically, I think that's this tutorial. We've covered the 6-4-1-5, but basically, you know, with those 4 chords, you can play many, 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 many songs. Even with the 2 chord, like I said, I can use this inversion and this voicing of the 4, which is the 4, 5, 6, and the 1. I also use it a lot with the 2, right? So, okay, which song uses the 1, 5, 2, 4 progression? I cry to you. I maintain this fingering on my right hand. The voicing is the same, but I'm changing the chords on the left. So I did play that for a couple of seconds. Why? Because I want you to see how I'm playing these chords on the left hand. So they are chords, but I split them and I play them one key. You know, I play them key by key. It's called an arpeggio from one key to another, you know. Something like that. So it's an arpeggio. So I need you to really practice those ones. If you've got any questions with these ones, you can just ask me and say, what's the arpeggio for the 4? Right? Maybe you've missed it in this tutorial. I'll be happy to send you the numbers that make up that arpeggio on the left hand. So you need to be able to combine these things. But the only way is to master your left hand. So the voicings that I was showing you on the right hand, they only work when you've mastered your left hand, right? So if you're playing that funny one or the funny looking 4 or the funny looking 5, you have to make sure that your 1 on the left hand remains steady. It has to be a 1 on the left hand. It has to be a 4 on the left hand, so that the people who are listening are able to understand the progression that you are playing. So these are just some things. There's a lot more, a lot more, there. I don't know what to call them, but I don't know whether to call them secrets, but there are little things that you can include in your playing that can actually change the way it sounds, right? And that's what these tutorials are about. A lot of you are already playing the basics. Those of you who haven't mastered the basics, continue to practice. Practice makes perfect. Continue to try and get access to a keyboard. I still advise that very strongly. Otherwise, see you in the next tutorial. Continue to practice. Practice. Remember, practice makes perfect. It makes perfect. Like I said, play around with these chords. I've told you the 6-4-1-5. I just played the 1-5-2-4. Try something else. Go 1-5-6-4. Go 4-2-1-5. Try to move around with everything, because these progressions, it's the same. For example, the Holy Spirit, oh Lord, take over my soul, that I be changed. Right? It's basically your 2-6-1-5. So you're just playing around with the numbers. So you play around with it, right? Like you're seeing, I'm using that voicing. Holy Spirit, my soul. Then I can use this voice. Use the normal 5, or play it like this, or play it like this. Depends what I want, or I can play it like this, right? Yeah. When you come back to the 1, you can always do this. Always, I like this 1. You do it like this, or you remove the 5, and you do that. So they're just voicings. If you missed anything, feel free to come to my inbox, and don't be under pressure to implement everything in this tutorial all at once. Take it step by step, right? We might take another 2-3 weeks, depending if the spirit directs, or even just 3 days, and I'll give you another tutorial. But it doesn't mean that you have to implement it that very day. Implementation is through practice. Practice makes perfect. So thank you for tuning in. Be prayerful as you do all this. We are doing it for the glory of God. Without that, then, what's the point? So keep shining.